Brian Williams welcoming you back to our coverage of the Pennzoil 400, and there's the man, Dale Jarrett, who may very well leave this track today with the Winston Cup itself hoisted above him. His father, former NASCAR champ Ned Jarrett, is of counsel, kind of the expert gray eminence of the family, coaching his son from time to time via radio on top of the main grandstands. Back when Ned Jarrett was NASCAR champion, as you might imagine, there were from time to time TV cameras in the Jarrett home. In one such instance, Ned Jarrett made a prediction. Here it is.
Hi, Dale.
Hi.
How'd you go today?
Fine.
Had good grades in school?
Yes, sir.
Now, my oldest son, Glenn, he is a good athlete, but Dale, he seems destined to become a race driver.
10-year-old speed demon Dale Jarrett, and now Dorsey Schrader is up with one of the true gentlemen of the circuit, Ned Jarrett.
Ned, the time draws so very near. What are your thoughts?
Well, I tell you, it's an exciting time right now, but it's a very nervous time, too. You know, he's in good position there. If he can just stay on the lead lap to the end of the race, you know, the championship is his. But we know there are a lot of things that can happen, so we just sort of saying a prayer and holding our breath.
Alan, a very, very nervous and proud papa right here.
I can hear the excitement in Ned's voice. I've known him for a long, long time, and you can just hear it just waiting to bubble over when this thing is over.
Well, Ned, I got to tell you the truth. What a family. My favorite is Martha. She used to tell me stories. That's Ned's wife, Dale's mother. She used to tell me stories about coming to the racetrack, and she was pregnant with Dale, coming to the racetrack to watch Ned race. And here he is. Dale really has grown up in the infields, running all over on these small bikes, and what a story. Neat family, neat guy, and certainly right now I think they're all nervous. Wherever Martha is, she's nervous right now.
Couple of things to be decided in the final laps of this one. Who will win the race? Bobby Labonte, Tony Stewart, or Jeff Burton, who is closing quickly in third position. He's about 3 seconds behind. He's making up a little bit of ground on these front two. Not a ton, but a little as we look back to Burton. Now here's Dale Jarrett running in fifth position, hoping to close out the championship. Let's go to Marty Snyder on pit road.
Well, Alan, last Christmas at the Christmas party for the Robert Yates team, the 88 bunch, Dale Jarrett handed out this card, and it reads, "It's amazing how much can be accomplished if no one cares who gets the credit." And Dale Jarrett said in the Christmas party, if we truly adopt this as our motto, guys, we will win the Winston Cup Championship. Now, it's not as flashy as refuse to lose or something like that, but it's been their mantra all year long. They made a banner of this. Each one of these team members still carries this card in their pocket to this day, and it has been their motto. And Coach Joe Gibbs, I know you can tell us a little bit about motivation. I believe Dale Jarrett knows a little bit about motivation as well.
He certainly does. I tell you this guy wants to win. Matter of fact, one of the stories about Dale, they say he probably could have been a pro golfer, but made a decision. Like I said at the opening of the show, he said the very first time I got in the car, I made the first lap of a little small track, and he said, this is what I want to do the rest of my life. And so closing in on a dream.
Bobby Labonte is trying to close out his season in fine fashion, even if he doesn't win the championship. Looking to win today here in Homestead. One more race to go in the season. That is next Sunday in Atlanta, Georgia. Labonte, though, with his teammate Tony Stewart behind him, who is just as hungry for another trip to victory lane.
You know, going back just for a second, Alan, talking about what we were talking about Dale Jarrett there, in regards to his motivation of the team. With Joe sitting here in his background of football, Dale is like the quarterback. He's the guy that's keeping everybody moraled up all the time. Things get down, he's the one that needs to get in there and get them pumped up. Even though the crew chief does that too, the driver is the guy. He sets the tone for the race, the weekend, the year, everything.
In the two sports I've been in, and it's a corny thing, people say, well, hey, you know, sacrificing for each other, teamwork, and you hear that all the time. That really, truly is it. It's the team that's able to grab that kind of chemistry, people willing to sacrifice for each other. It's always been the same thing in all pro sports. That's why I love it. The people are willing to pay a price, sacrifice for your teammate. What can you do to get the team to the top? And it's the same in this sport, auto racing, as it was for me in the NFL.
Looking back into the top 10 a little bit deeper, here's Dale Earnhardt in 7th spot. Maybe going to lose that to Kyle Petty. He just did lose the 6th position to his teammate Mike Skinner a couple of laps ago. And Earnhardt's car continuing to run up the racetrack in the corners at either end of the speedway.
Yeah, it's just, you know, again, we're getting later in the tire run again. There's not a whole lot they can do. They haven't hit the chassis setup. That's what's causing that problem. compared to Bobby Labonte or Tony Stewart, where their car is driving around the bottom. They've hit the chassis setup, and what that means is making sure you got the right springs in the car, matched with the right shock absorbers. They can valve these shocks in a multitude of different ways now, along with the right sway bars, track bar adjustment, and wedge. That all goes into play as a chassis setup.
Very complicated laws of physics and geometry applied to making these 3,400-pound race cars go. Some teams have hit it better than others on any given day, and Earnhardt's team right now needs to hit it a little bit better than they are from the looks of the way his car is going up the racetrack in the corner. Kyle Petty, remember, is trying to make the economy run for the final 77 laps on one tank of fuel. We think that's going to be a little too much, or at least I think it's going to be much, but we'll find out here in a couple of minutes. Looking a little bit deeper back in the 10th position, this should be Rusty Wallace. Haven't talked about him a whole lot. He is a lap down, but since getting a lap down, the next pit stop they made, adjustments up on his car, seem to have picked him up to a pace where he hasn't fallen back any, and in fact has picked up a couple of more positions from where he was.
You know, the one thing, this is the type of race, unfortunately, Rusty's a lap down, but it plays into his hands very well. What I mean by that, he's a great chassis man. Great chassis man means he can relate to the crew chief. What kind of adjustments will need to be made to that car? He most likely is calling the shots in the car what he wants. Telling Robin air pressure adjustments, things of that nature, track bar. That's one thing Rusty Wallace is excellent at.
And he is racing Jeremy Mayfield for position there. That'd be the 10th and 11th spots. Brian Williams has a thought on Rusty Wallace as well.
Rusty, earlier in the pits, it was like a flash frame from 10 years ago, deluged by Rusty's Warriors, his usual pack of autograph hounds. He told me he was especially excited and pumped up, as he put it today, because of his experience on flat tracks. He assumes that will fold over into today. Sadly, at 10th and a lap down, it hasn't, but a lot of optimism on the Miller Lite team going into this, all the way up to the owner, down to the driver. Back to you.
Once again, going back to the Dale Earnhardt-Kyle Petty race for the 7th and 8th positions. These now the last two cars on the lead lap. So if Dale Jarrett can stay on the lead lap, that one and only caution flag we've had here has helped him by cutting down the possible loss of positions he might have should his car get ill handling. Down to pit road to Mike Massaro.
Well, Alan, polling the crews down on this end of pit road, it appears that everybody wants to see another yellow flag before the checkers. Nobody, including the 99, the 40, or the 44, can go the distance. They're looking at a window somewhere between 10 and 15 laps to go to come in and top off. Alan?
Well, they're basically telling us they're not going to go the distance now. You know, they even topped off thinking to gamble, but they're going to be 10 laps short there, so they're going to have to stop. They're hoping for that caution, as Mike mentioned there, because they want to make an adjustment. You see Tony Stewart closing up on the back of Bobby Labonte.
For the race lead, this would be. Labonte didn't get off that corner well at all, and Stewart is right up on the back neck now versus the 3 or 4 car lengths he was behind a minute ago. We saw this in that last run. Excuse me just for a second, Coach. The farther we got into the set of tires, the stronger Tony got versus Bobby, and now that we're moving laps along, we seem to be headed that way again, and that's not good news if you're Bobby and wanting to win this race.
Yeah, it seems as though Bobby's car, when you match them up, and that's what we talked about, those long runs, Mike. It looks like Tony's car may be a tick better on a long run. Right there, you can see Bobby get loose a little bit.
You see what happens there is that Tony got up underneath Bobby in the back. That takes the air off the spoiler, loosens him up. Tony's car's turning a little bit better, but they got one more shot at Bobby to keep in tow with him most likely here. And but you know, we seen last week how good Tony Stewart was in regards to these flat racetracks, and the team that he's got around him really got this deal figured out.
Mike, do you think that some of the guys may take the 2 tires when they come in for a splash, or what determines that? Just a splash of gas, or are you going to try and get 2 tires on there for the last 10 to 15 laps?
I would say, Joe, they'll only go a splash of gas because you can come down and put gas enough to go to the finish in 3 to 4 seconds. If you stop for tires, right sides only, it's going to take 8 or 9 seconds. So I'd say it's exactly how it plays out, or see how it plays out, but I would assume you're going to see stop and goes, splash of fuel, and get out of there.
16th lead change in the race. Tony Stewart by Bobby Labonte with 38 laps to go. And what should be a dramatic series of visits to pit road in the final laps, determining the outcome of this one. So many different ways a pit stop can confuse things, can cost you time, and all of that still to play out here in Homestead. Stewart, Labonte, Jeff Burton, Mark Martin, and Dale Jarrett are your leaders. You're watching NASCAR on NBC.